Vermont may be the next state to legalize marijuana, and they actually have two state legislators who have a plan. They're thinking about introducing a bill that would prohibit alcohol, basically reinstating prohibition if they don't get their way on legalizing marijuana. So the two state representatives are O'Sullivan and Christopher Pearson, and they have introduced this bill to outlaw consumption of alcohol. And I think this is a brilliant idea. You know, basically, the object, says Representative O'Sullivan, the object was to basically embarrass the leadership to say that we have marijuana legalization bills in front of us and they're going absolutely nowhere. We're certainly not going to ban alcohol, but when you say you'll let a drug like that be legalized and then you have a drug like marijuana that's far safer, that's still banned, it's completely ironic.
Yeah. I love that we now have reached a point where, I mean, people have been trying to make the case that marijuana is both safer and less addictive than things like alcohol, tobacco, stuff like that for a long time. But now you have people in state legislatures actually making the case on a daily basis, and the media has to actually report it.
Yeah.
And so it starts to be disseminated. And we also, I mean, in the past couple of years, we've had a couple of states actually legalize it for recreational use, and we now know exactly why the Republicans were so scared of that happening. Because they knew that it's not going to actually tear society apart, and people living in those states who were against it can't point to a negative influence that it's had.
Yeah,
it's not leading to people crashing their cars and things like that. It's not tearing apart families. And so what is the fear of bringing it to a place like Vermont?
Yeah, what is the justification now? There was an interesting study done by the Rand Corporation recently, and it found that pot has the lowest risk of mortality of 9 drugs that they compared it to. That's including lowest risk of mortality against tobacco, against alcohol, and they note that no one has ever died from a marijuana drug overdose.
You're more likely to die in Vermont from maple syrup than you are from marijuana.
Well, 88,000 people a year die from alcohol overdose, 0 from pot overdose. And yet, so I think that these Vermont legislators are bringing up an excellent point. You know, how stupid it is for marijuana to be, what is it, a class 1, class 2, schedule, whatever it is.
It's still class 1.
Yeah, it's as if it's as bad as heroin, and yet there is 0 evidence to prove that, and yet it has been used to prevent these state legalization laws from going through.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. It's sort of the legislative equivalent of the argument that we've been making, that how does it make sense that you can get yourself totally wasted on $10 worth of vodka and then crash your car into a supermarket or something like that, but you can't smoke in the privacy of your own home? We've been making that case for a long time, but it's good that we actually have people with a little bit more sort of political authority making the same case.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to take a little bit longer for it to really, I think, filter up into Congress. But that's just got to come. I mean, these people are the people who are going to be running for congressional seats and senatorial seats in 6 or 10 years.
Well, I think it'd also make a big deal for Democrats running, especially in Congress, and basically all around the country. Whoever, makes it clear that they support, the decriminalization of marijuana is going to do very well in the elections. It will definitely bring out the youth vote. So it's kind of a no-brainer to me that that this would be a great agenda item for politicians to pursue. Now, there is a little bit more about this, specifically that Vermont has a budget issue going on right now and a budget deficit. I think they said something like $113 million. So Vermonters spent between $125 to $225 million a year on marijuana in 2014. This report projects that tax revenue from the legal marijuana market in the state would amount to between $20 million and $70 million annually. And
it's a small state too.
As O'Sullivan says, consider it a gauntlet thrown down. When you're looking at a $113 million budget deficit, it looks bloody attractive. And I would agree with her on that.
Brownback should look into that, I think.
Yeah.
The deficit he's rolling
Oh, man.
Now, I know you guys aren't regular pot smokers like I am, and so I have the perfect argument to shoot this guy down, but because I smoke so much pot, I forgot what it is.
Oh, but
ching. That's a real ironic twist there.
There you go.
I think it's an interesting idea, and it's kind of nuts that it has taken this long to be legalized. There was this long period of time when you can't do it, it's a gateway drug, blah blah blah, all that crap that people have been saying about it. Then it seems to be zipping through pretty quickly, and then now it's stalled again.
And let's remember the people who are the most vocal against this, right? The organizations that Patrick Kennedy works with, they've been proven to be getting money from OxyContin manufacturers. Right. So the people like Patrick Kennedy, who is a big drug addict himself, who screwed up his life many times over. He's the guy who comes to your house and throws up on your couch and then crashes his car into your front lawn. And then he comes back after he sobers up and tells everybody else you can't smoke pot because I'm such a big fuck up. Okay, so
did that happen to you?
That did happen. Okay. And no, so yeah, so pot. The thing is weird is that we know prohibition doesn't work because we tried it, and what did we get? We got the mafia. That's what happened, right? Al Capone, they all went into the bootlegging business and it made the... So now we made cocaine and other drugs illegal, and we got gangs and we got drug cartels. It's like if there's one thing we can learn from history, it's that we never learn from history.
Yeah.
Yes, this is true. So it'll be interesting to see if this particular law goes through in Vermont. I doubt that it will, to prohibit alcohol. That's the other part that they're actually adding on the what's the word when you get caught with it? The penalties. That's the word. Penalties. The penalties for carrying alcohol under this law would be the same as for marijuana. So that's
quite significant, actually.
Yeah,
if
$500.
You're involved in the production of it, it can be something like $1 million.
Right.
If you're actually selling it. Yeah.
So it'd be very interesting to see. I'm sure it will go no further, but at least it does make the point.
Chris Christie also came out against marijuana legalization.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because he wants the rest of the country to be just as fat, unhappy, and angry as he is.